Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the latest edition of Face to Face with. My name is Ross Briffett, and it is my pleasure tonight to be joined by the London Playboy, Tate Mayfairs. Did I get that right?
Woohoo! Yeah, I'm a London Playboy. We can roll with that. Yeah, we can roll with that. I've often been called that.
So, yeah, thanks for joining me. What are your memories of your first match?
It's a while back. So I started wrestling when I was 14. First match was actually I started training and it was like the second week. So I went to one session. The following week, second ever training session, they were like, "Yeah, we've got a show. So do you want to come help out?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, I'd love to." So, you know, and even back then, as a young Mayfairs, I had a smart suit ready to go to the show because I'd been reading my Ric Flair book and all the rest of it, and I knew how to conduct yourself in the business. So I had my suit ready. Yeah, went and put up the ring and did this, and yeah, we did the pre-show. It was a big rumble. It wasn't like I had a one-on-one match two sessions in, but yeah, that was it. Two weeks in. Big old rumble, 300 people in Enfield.
So it's a Rumble match.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was going to say who was your opponent, but yeah.
Quite a few. Too many to name. I think then, it wasn't long after that I probably had a few like 6-man tag sort of things on some of the academy shows there. And then the first, to be honest, I'm gonna say it may not it may or may not be accurate, but I feel like maybe my first singles match was against a guy called Jonathan Hardwick at the time. And yeah, if you saw that compared to now, you wouldn't believe it's the same guy, because I came out to sort of like dance music. I had some headphones on. So I had like one of those Scotty Too Hotty type visors.
Oh, dear.
Bad look. And I did like a springboard hurricanrana, and unfortunately he beat me with a spinning tombstone. So yeah, very different match from your 2021 Tate Mayfair style, but nonetheless, that's kind of where it began.
So who actually trained you?
I've had many hands, to be honest. First started training at a school in London, like I say, in Enfield, and it was kind of like get in and just learning how to bump, learning how to sort of give and take moves, getting in there and doing like amateur wrestling, like actual like. So I was like fighting these grown men as like a 14-year-old kid, from learning, but it was very beneficial because I learned the core foundations of the business and how it works. And then after a period of time there, I was introduced to a guy named Barry Charolumbus who ran a company called SAS Wrestling. So he was involved in training the likes of Sparta Drake Maverick, for example. And his mindset for the business was entirely different to anyone else at that time in British wrestling. And he was sort of the main guy that opened up this whole other world and bits of knowledge about the business to me. Yeah.
So would you say he's the guy who broke you in?
I would say him, and none of it would have been able to happen without Sid Scala. So the pair of them very much so broke me into the business properly, yeah.
So were you always a fan of wrestling?
Yeah, man. So again, I can't tell you the exact moment that my eyes laid.
Yeah, please do.
Bang on it with wrestling. Do you have like a moment like that where you're like, this was the moment? Can you remember exactly?
I'll tell you, the very first show I watched was it was the Royal Rumble before WrestleMania 14.
Nice.
It
What a
was the
leader.
it was the famous Three Faces of Foley Rumble.
Yes. That's
I love
so
that
great.
show.
So, I mean, I was around like 97, 98, maybe. Not my age. That's the time when I started watching.
I was going to say you look well for it.
Yeah. It's all this water, mate.
H2O.
No, yeah, so about that time period, and it was like all the rage at school, and it was just this beautiful world in which these larger than life characters did battle, and it was something beautiful for me to like live vicariously through. And I was totally enamored with it, totally obsessed to the point where like any conversation you had with me turned to wrestling. It didn't matter what it was. I learnt my vocabulary through Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler and Vince McMahon and these wrestling promos. You know, I was obsessed. I'd go to the shop and I would, you know, we didn't have much money, so I couldn't get the books or the toys or the stickers or whatever. But I'd go there and I'd just look at them. You know, go to the magazine rack and I'd go to the shop, WH Smiths or whatever, and I'd just read all of Power Slam, then put it over, and then pick up the next wrestling magazine and read all of that. And I wouldn't have paid for it, you know. I just then, you know, do it. You know, I loved it so much, and I've thought when I'm the plan before was, oh, as soon as I can, I'm going to fly out to America and I'm going to train at this school, that school. I had them all written down. Which ones I'm going to go to the Wild Samoans. I'm going to go to wherever. And thankfully, eventually, yeah, when I was 14, I saw an advert for the school in London, and that was it.
This isn't actually on the list of questions, but what was it like to wrestle for Progress?
Yeah, incredible. So I wrestled for them twice, and when there was a period of time where I got lost from wrestling and my life took a different turn. But when I came back, when I had my eyes on it, you know, I was friends with a guy, Sebastian from the Geezers. Yeah. We were friends from back in the day, and he kind of he stayed on or slash came back to wrestling before I did. And I saw him at Progress and what they were doing there, and I was like, man, if I come back, I just want to do that. If I come back, like I just want to do it again now as a fully developed grown up, and do a match there, like, and I can't remember how long it took, but it didn't take too long, thankfully. Maybe, I don't know, maybe whatever it was. When I got told that I was going to be having my first match at Progress, it was the best feeling, and it just so happened it was like a week after my birthday that year as well. So I was like, this is it. This is the best month of my life. And thankfully, I did it again later that year, and we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, definitely. So, have you got any funny road trip stories?
Okay. So when I was in the business before, I wasn't driving. Well, eventually I was, but most of that was on my own. After that, there was a lot of crazy road trip stories with the rest of my life. But in regards to wrestling, thankfully now I'm a lot more sensible, and the Mayfairs mobile is a lot more calmer and sophisticated journey. So a lot of wrestlers all over, you know, who have come in and out this country or reside in this country have drove in my car. It's almost like the British wrestling car in some aspects, because I have drove let me tell you, I have drove up and down this country, all over the place, since I've been back, and I've had every single name sit in that car with me on the journeys. I'll tell you, if I could just give you one anecdote, old Maxwell Jacob Friedman, you know,
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
he came over for one of his most recent UK excursions, and he ended up staying at mine, and I had to drop him at this. I was told that he would be kind of picked up from mine. I was told all you need to do is, we're both wrestling on this same show. All you need to do is take him home, like to your place, crash the night, and then he's going off to this other show the following day. I was like, yeah, fine. Then it turns out when he gets in the car on the way back that no, he wants me to drive him 2 hours away, in the opposite direction to where I'm going, because I'm going to another show the other side of the country as he is. So yeah, it was a bit awkward for that aspect of it, because it meant I was late to the other show, and he was tired. He's been he's slept all these different people's houses. This journey, our journey into meet someone else to go off, he kind of wanted to keep to himself. I tried conversation, right? What about this? No, a little bit of whatever, but chat, and then he'll cut off and talk about, just kind of want to be on his own. He didn't want to engage in a long conversation. Yeah. So I was like, all right, man. Well, anyone who's been in my car knows that a big thing is about the tunes in the Mayfairs Mobile. So I'm like, right, what kind of stuff are you into, man? And I give him a couple of selections, and then he goes for Stevie Wonder,
Right.
which is a favourite. People love this Wonder. I've got to say, British wrestling, all wrestlers seem to love Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
But I set it up, and we go in, and then all of a sudden he starts like, quietly singing along, like tapping his thing, and the next thing you know, we're both singing along like big to Stevie Wonder, giving it the moves and singing or whatever. And then when the album finishes, we just, that's it. We carry on. That's a little story for you.
But yeah, I mean, I've heard. Try that again. I've heard a lot of stories about MJF, like about how he comes across to people. How did you find him?
He's a lovely man. Like he's someone who loves this business very, very much. And I got a lot of respect for that. Like he told me that he in the, how do I say this without, okay, let me just say it as is. In the UK, we do things correctly, in my opinion, in terms of travel. When you wrestle on a show, your travel expenses get covered and you get a fee for your performance. That's how it's dealt with. In the States, on the indies, that's not always the case. Quite often, the lower wrestlers, they travel, they wrestle, they get paid whatever they get paid, and then they travel back, and that fee may not cover their thing, right? But MJF, before he became the man he is today, he would do 16 hours from his place on his own to do a show, wrestle that show, and drive 16 hours back. That man has a lot of love and dedication for this business, and it's all the credit to where he is now and who he is now. So, yeah, that's my opinion on him.
So, have you ever had any injuries?
Injuries are part of the thing, right? It's hand in hand with what we do. There's no, people can talk as much as they want about predetermined and the show aspect of what we do, but we're getting slammed down. We're coming off all these heights. So you could point any part of my body and it's all been bruised and cut and slightly strained, all of it. But thankfully, touching wood, like I haven't had anything major or any big issues at all, and long may that continue. I have strong faith and belief in that, and prayers in that. So I think yeah, hopefully we'll all be good. But luckily, no big major injuries. There's one scar I've picked up from a match that I had with Paul Robinson. So
I can believe that.
Huh?
I can believe that.
Hey, he's all safe. I've got to be honest. He's an incredible worker, man. I love working with Paul Robinson. He's a great at what he does. Yeah. But yeah, we did in the fight. It was at Riptide in Brighton, and we're fighting on the outside. And I've tried to get the audience out of his chairs because I want to throw him into the chairs, and he grabs me by the nuts. I don't know how the ref didn't DQ him, to be honest with you, but whatever. He must not have seen. Grabs me by the nuts, and then the next thing, I'm getting launched into the chairs, and I really go, and I don't know how many rows back I end up, but that happens, and then he throws all the chairs on top of me, of course, and yeah, so I've got it at whatever point it happened there. I got a quite a deep cut on my back, and that has just scarred over. It stayed with me, but I'm proud of that one because I liked that match. So
I've got to say, there's like 2 or 3 wrestlers in the UK that I look at and I'm genuinely scared of them. Paul Robinson's one of them.
Yeah, with good reason.
Yeah. So, have you got any dream opponents, either from the UK or abroad? And they don't have to be alive either.
Yeah. Do they have to even be born yet? Maybe my dream opponent hasn't even been born yet. Let's think. There's so many ways to answer this, right? There's like, look, the thing right now is there's so many great wrestlers all over. We've got the Indies in the UK. We've got Japan with all the companies over there. We've got NXT UK, all the NXT, the WWE, the AEW, MLW. It's endless, right? There's just so much great talent out there right now. There's one mind that sticks in my head, but before I do that, I want to put over actually a couple of the British guys, because there's a couple that I haven't yet wrestled that I really, really want to get my hands on, and that's Callum Newman, Niwa, Ricky Knight Jr. Actually no, yeah, and that's it. Yeah, that's it for the UK Indies. Those 3. I mean, obviously there's many others I would like to wrestle, but those 3 really kind of stick out to me. Going, I'd really like to fight them. Ridgeway as well. I've wrestled Ridgeway in a multi-man, but not a singles. So I'd really like to mix it up with those guys. But ultimately, if you ask me in a nutshell, if you pick one guy, tell me right now, who do you want to fight? I want Walter. I want to fight Walter in London. That's what I want.
Okay. That's going to be interesting. I'm just kind of like, okay.
You don't think I can do it, do you? You don't think I could do it?
I didn't say that.
Hey? I'll show you. I will show you, Ross. And at the end, you know what's going to happen? At the end, Primetime Radio is going to come up and ask me what it was like beating Walton. I say, I told you so, mate. I told you. You heard it.
I look forward to standing corrected.
I look forward to.
So, what have been your career highlights?
Career highlights. Soccer AM. I wrestled. Well, he kind of interjected himself in it. But James Norwood of whatever football club he claims to be from, it's not Arsenal, so all I care is it's nothing.
Oh, was it Ollie Norwood from Man United?
No, it's James Norwood. It's Ipswich, I believe, Ipswich Football Club. And so he refereed one of our matches, and he reckons himself a big wrestling fan. He tried to stick his nose in, and I ended up face palming him, and he ended up punching me or whatever. But Sky News were there. No, Sky Sports News were there. Soccer AM and someone else, football, whatever the hell, whatever it was. That was cool. That was cool to do and see. Then afterwards, it all come up on the telly and that. Progress, like you mentioned, that was big. Riptide, I've wrestled at Riptide a bunch of times now. That's always been super cool for me because the audience, because of when you get to watch the footage back, it looks so good. And the culture that they created there was really like good to be a wrestler. Sometimes you wrestle at some places and you kind of like in a corridor, and that's part of it. It's part of it. But here, you get space, you get fed, you get a haircut, you get whatever you need to make sure that you're in the best space, the best place to make it happen. And everyone delivers at the top of their game when they're there. And that's all part of it. And it's a pleasure to work for Josh. Josh is a lovely guy. I started helping out there for like maybe just over, it might have been a year, it might have even been 2 years before I was there every single show. First one in the building, last one out the building, doing everything I could to make sure that show went as best as it could. And eventually I got on there. And when I did, I knocked it out of the park. And so I got a lot of love and a lot of joy from working at Riptide as well. Same with Progress, same with all of these things. It's it's what's important to me. Those two, and then a couple of wrestlers. I've wrestled quite a few big names, and these aren't even the biggest, but it just sort of makes me it was kind of a cool moment for me in the career. It's like wrestling. It's funny because they're both storms. There's a lot of storms in wrestling. Have you noticed? Yeah, like I'm really interested at the family dinner at the Storms house when you got Jody and Johnny and James and Tony and Lance. I want to see this family portrait, the old Storm family. But yes, if I will,
something funny then. But
what's that?
You know, when you try and think of something funny to say, and it sounds funny in your head.
It's on the cusp. It's like right on the edge of the tongue. He's like, yeah.
Anyhow,
no, I can't get there either. But this was. I was going to put over the fact that when I wrestled James Storm, the cowboy, I was like, whatever. It's all cool. It's business. It's business. We're going about this. And then when he went out before me and his music played, it's like, sorry about your damn luck. Is it that, right? I was like, oh yeah. I'm wrestling that guy. The guy, when you're used to hearing an entrance theme, on the telly or when you're watching it and then eventually you hear it in the arena you're fighting in, and you realize you're fighting that guy, it kind of sends that message home. You're like, oh, this is pretty cool, actually. And the other one was Johnny Storm. So when I first started wrestling, again, like I said, at 14, Jody and Johnny were at the, as far as British wrestling went, they were, and getting to get in there with him and be his equal, like, and put together a match with him and wrestle with him and have lots of fun doing it and get a great reaction as well doing it, like that was cool for me. Yeah.
Right, I've got two more questions, but there's one that's just popped into my head. We recently worked together on the show, Rumble.
Yeah.
How was that? Like, how did you find that?
Rumble's great. Yeah, Rumble's cool, man. It's they get like a really big family crowd together, and that's fun to work in front of because those kids just lap it up. You know what I mean? They hate my guts. They hate my guts, and that just makes it even more enjoyable to slap around someone like Sid Manelli in front of them. So yeah, I do get a kick out of that.
So, who would you say some of your best friends in wrestling are?
I got many friends in wrestling. People I've known since day dot, and people that I've known since this time round, and I cherish that. But as far as the people are concerned, there's only one name they need to be focusing on, and that's Tate Mayfairs. You know what I'm saying? This business is a one-man business. I don't do tag teams. I've tried the faction. I don't do factions. There's one man in this business. DTA. Don't trust anyone. Tate Mayfairs. Woo-hoo! You know what I'm saying? I walk alone inside this pit of danger. This is Tate Mayfairs. No friends needed. No friends needed.
Okay. Last question is: who are some of the best practical jokers that you've seen?
Best practical jokers I've seen.
And also, you think of any practical jokes?
I've got to be honest with you. Nowadays, because ribbing could be quite harsh, right? Or just a bit wild. So it doesn't so much happen. I don't see it happen so much these days. Back in the day, yeah, there was a couple of guys. Shout out to Bolamont. He was always a funny guy. I mentioned Sebastian earlier.
Yeah.
He's obviously a barrel of laughs. But yeah, in the modern day, it doesn't. Not that anything was over the top back then, but it's just the culture in wrestling is a lot nicer. Or just no one's trying to wind anyone up or make the fool of someone, even for whatever reason. It's just people are about just good vibes and getting the business done these days, which I love. I tell you what, one of my favorite ribs is, though. It's a harmless rib. Is and I don't. It's fine even if I give it away because I'll still get someone with it. But it's when you get like a international wrestler in the UK or someone who's just maybe not quite as like a bit clumsy or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's when you're in the car and you go into either like Wales or Scotland or Isle of Wight, and then just as you get into the edge of the country or the border, you go, everyone got their passport with them? Yeah, everyone got their passport. You go, you got your passport with you, haven't you? And he goes, no, what do I need it? You go, yeah, you're leaving England, mate. You're leaving the country. You're gonna need your passport with you. And you just push it for as long as you can. You really start to get them worried, and they go, "What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Oh no! We're going to have to leave you here. We're going to have to leave you here, mate. We're going to go do the show. We'll come pick you up on the way back." That's one of my favourites.
I've never heard of that one, but I like that. Right, so we'll finish off with word association. So, these are all guys you faced in the past.
These are.
These are all like previous opponents of yours.
Oh God, these guys. Okay.
Right, so we'll start off with Shaw Samuels.
East.
And
winners as well.
Paul Robinson.
Paul Robinson. Mean.
Chris Brooks.
Chris Brooks. Japan.
Simon Miller.
Why? Bald is the word, actually. I'll tell you that. Bald. Baldy.
We'll finish off with Rocky Mack.
Rocky Mack. A traitor. A con man. That's what a con man. That's what he is. He brought me onto his show. I tried to get on that show during the lockdown so many times, and he kept ending the call on me. And eventually, just wanted him to ask me one question with Rocky Mack. Who are you going to ask? You need to ask the questions to Tate Mayfairs, don't you? And he took advantage of that because he said, "Do you want me to ask? You just want me to ask you a question, and you'll go. If I ask you a question, you'll go." And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Great, you've answered the question." And then he hung up on me.
Savage. Okay.
If I see you again, Rocky Mack, you're getting a dry slap, son. Get a dry slap from the Mayfairs. Let me tell you that.
There's a match I'd like to see.
Book it. Book it.
I don't have those capabilities, I'm afraid, but
Someone watching has. I could see it.
But anyway, Tate Mayfairs, thank you for joining me on Face to Face.
Face to Face. Ross, my pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah, no worries. Take care.
Take care. Woohoo!